Welcome back to Munchausen's Proxy and my promised mid-season review of Mayfair Witches. I start by saying that Anne Rice has never been a big draw for me. While I have not read any of her books, although I do own an omnibus of the first 3 Vampire Chronicle novels, I was a big fan of the Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt adaptation of Interview with the Vampire, and I also liked The Queen of the Damned with Stuart Townsend, despite it being a patently bad movie. The soundtrack for The Queen of the Damned just draws me in every time. All of that to say that while I would not consider myself an Anne Rice groupie, I had positive feelings towards those works I've experienced. When I saw that AMC was going to do a series adaptation of Interview with the Vampire, I was at first interested. After all, AMC does good work, and the movie was really enthralling in not only the story and performances, but the visuals that made that movie work. It was a haunting tale that swept you up in 2 centuries of history experienced by Louis Dupont du Lac, the tragedy of his life washing you through the story whether you wanted to go or not. However, I did not take into account current year Hollywood. My first problem with the series was the fact that they jumped Louis' origin up by over a century in order to make the race swapping make sense, changing him from a plantation owner to simply an affluent black man. Then there is the origin of Claudia that has been altered as well, and from those changes a cascade of ever more meaningless and yet creatively bankrupt alterations of the original source material washes over the show. Casting choices made, above and beyond race swaps, were also stupid. Instead of the young reporter chosen to tell his tale, they went with a 69-year-old Eric Bogosian to play the reporter. Instead of the 5-year-old Claudia from the book, or the slightly older version from the movie, they have gone with the 19-year-old Bailey Bass, which also makes this a race-swapped character. And instead of someone you could pass off as a French Lestat, you have the Australian Sam Reid, who might be a fine actor, but he definitely does not look French. Other lesser characters casting is equally bad. Does that make the show bad? Not necessarily. But in current year Hollywood, these are known as warning signs. And since I was not all that interested in watching another bad adaptation so soon after suffering through Blood Origin, I skipped it. But on the heels of Interview with the Vampire coming to AMC, the other Anne Rice property that was sold to AMC so that they could develop their own all-coveted cinematic universe was Lives of the Mayfair Witches. Shortened to Mayfair Witches, AMC debuted the series at the turn of the new year on both AMC and their streaming service, AMC+. Looking slightly more interesting than the corrupted version of Interview did, I decided to give it a go. After all, it looked like an interesting supernatural witch show. And I was sorry I did. Knowing next to nothing about Mayfair Witches allowed me to view the show without any preconceived ideas of what such a show should look like and feel like. It did not help. Which is a shame, because there are actors on the show that I have liked in other projects I have seen them in. So what is the problem? Or rather, problems. Let's start with the writing. It is a slow, boring, lacking in detail, and drag the story along without giving you any reason to get interested in the characters or what they're going through tale. There is also a gratuitous number of sex scenes throughout the first 4 episodes, more than one of which was hard to fit into the overall story, and that they jammed them in there anyway. I counted 5 major sex scenes in the first 4 episodes and a number of minor, often dream-related sex scenes along with them. Given that very little goes on in the 4 episodes, maybe maybe some of that bedroom time could have been more wisely spent on, oh, I don't know, character development, world building, the important stuff. And character development and world building are a problem. I'll start with character development by saying there's very little of it for any of the characters. For the most part, they are not characters. They are caricatures. Aunt Carlotta is the wicked aunt. Uncle Cortland is the playboy uncle. Deirdre is the troubled woman. Rowan is the brilliant young surgeon. Mama Fielding is the devoted adopted mother. About the only person that has much character development is Cyprian Grieve, which is probably why he is one of the few characters who work. And his character development is wasted because all we know about him beyond who he is as a person is that he is assigned to Rowan to protect her. By whom, you might ask? And all the answer you would get from this show is the Talamasca. If you have never read any of Anne Rice's work, or watched Queen of the Damned, then you have no idea what that means. And watching this show does not give you any more enlightenment after 4 episodes. We also have no idea who or what the Mayfair family is beyond strange folk who seem to be split between holy rollers and hedonists, who also seem to be cursed or blessed, depending on which side of the clan you talk to. And then there's Lasher. Who or what is Lasher? After 4 episodes, all we know is he's either a demon, a persistent spirit, or an angel. Again, depending on who you talk to. He seems to have it bad for the Mayfair women, particularly the matriarchs. And that's all we know. Not what he wants, not what he was, what he is, nothing. Lasher and the Talamasca get to world building. And there we have to talk about the weird way the writing also takes away from this aspect of the show. For what I am sure would be fascinating reasons that they never quite get around to explaining, at least through 4 episodes, the show jumps around between multiple timelines, including 17th century Scotland, Deirdre's teen years, and the present. Despite knowing there are reasons for it, it is irritating and could have been more smoothly used as flashbacks or, hell, even an exposition dump or 2, as much as I hate those. Instead, we get vignettes from yesteryear that are not always connected to what is going on in the present. Will they eventually connect? I'm sure they will try. But in the meantime, it is killing any momentum you are trying to build with the rest of the story. And finally, we have the acting. For the most part, it is dreadful. I want to blame the writing and directors because I know a number of the actors from other things and they are pretty good. Alexandra Daddario, Harry Hamlin, Beth Grant, Annabeth Gish, and Erica Gimple are all good actors. Alexandra Daddario in particular has been off. She is a perfectly fine actress with an Emmy nomination in her recent past, so I'm not sure what the hell is going on in this show. Especially that uncomfortable, I have been constipated for a week smile she has been using. Granted, she looks best when she is doing that Mona Lisa smile she does, but I have seen her smile fully and she never looked this uncomfortable doing it. Harry Hamlin is another who is acting uncharacteristically bad. I have liked him since I was a kid and saw him as the lead in the original, and best in my opinion, Clash of the Titans. He has a long career of high performance in various projects, so to see him overacting in this part is baffling. The only good performance thus far has been Tonge Chirisa. as Cyprian Grieve. His character is likable and, more importantly, believable. He works well with Daddario in the scenes they have together, and he emotes the role extremely well. I suppose Jack Houston as Lasher hasn't been too bad either, but my admiration for his performance is hampered by the show's inability to provide clarity on what he is and what is going on. I'm sure at least some of that is purposeful, keeping the mystery and the suspense going. Alas, it makes for a frustrating watch. And when viewers get frustrated watching what is supposed to be entertaining, they tap out. That is what I have done. I wanted to tap out after the second episode. Instead, I put myself through a couple more episodes of brain trauma for a couple reasons. First, I wanted to find out who killed Deidre. Wow, was I disappointed how that turned out. Stupidly, as I assumed it would given the trajectory of the show. I don't even care to find out how the resolution of the resolution is going to go, since her killer turned out to be a hired hand who got whacked himself. My second reason for continuing on was to see if it picked up speed by the midway mark at all. Yeah, that's a big no. As a matter of fact, it just gets more frustrating because they are giving you a little more information, but none of it is any information you want. It's not who Lasher is. It's not what is up with the Mayfairs. It is not who are the Talamasca. It is not what are Rowan's powers, aside from the whole wishing strokes on people thing she can do. I think the final straw was the episode 4 timeline jump back to Scotland for the witch's funeral. It was bad. It was really bad. Like a bad attempt at the Crucible bad. So I am jumping off this train wreck here, which is a shame. There's a good show to be had from this material, but the combination of bad writing, poor directing, poor acting, and the overall slow rolling train heading for the nitroglycerin factory aesthetic it strikes me with was enough to have me tap out. That is all I have for you for this video. I will probably try to get a video out about the second episode of The Ark before The Last of Us Episode 5 spoiler review gets done. I doubt I will do too much more on The Ark, since that show is a bit of a mess as well. If you like what I do here, please hit the like button and share the video. Please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you are notified when new videos are uploaded. And please comment down below to help out with the algorithm. I will see you in the next video, and until then, tschüss.